We're back on the JG Aurora today, and I think this is going to be our fourth installment, third, fourth, I'm not sure yet. Um, and we are working on this bed leveling issue, and I think I have it figured out. So I'm going to move y'all in closer to see kind of what I came up with and how I'm going to attempt to remedy the situation. So let me move y'all in close to where y'all can see my mad scientist idea that I've got going on. Okay, so right now I've actually got the heated bed completely removed from the printer, and I have the glass build plate set up on these little clips here, and these clips are actually from an old flat screen TV. They just so happen to be tall enough to do what I wanted to do, and they're all consistent, they're all the same dimensions, and they're really stable parts, and they're working out really well. But the conclusion that I came up with is that if you look on this corner, you can see we've got a little bit of bounce, and it's actually a little more prominent on the back corner here. And I've already tested the build plate. If you follow me on Instagram, then you actually already know that I'm having this problem. But the build plate is flat. I've tried it on a surface block. I even took the bed because I thought the bed might be warped, and I tried it on a surface block, and it was also straight. So that only really leaves me with the conclusion that it's the mount itself that's tweaked somehow. And you can see by using the bed plate as a true reference that that's got to be what's going on here, is that it's just kind of twisted a little bit. Kind of it's really difficult to show, but this corner and this corner are obviously low, and this corner and this corner are obviously high. Or kind of, you can look at it either way. Two corners are high and two corners are low. So the way that I'm going to fix this is basically, fingers crossed here, is to just use brute strength. I'm going to, think about the way that I want to twist this, and I'm going to just grab it, and I'm going to use every bit of strength that I have, and I'm just going to twist it. I'm really weak, by the way. That's why I say every bit of strength that I have. And I'm going to twist it, and I'm going to try to control it as much as I can to get it to where it's flat. It may take a few tries, or maybe going back and forth a little bit. And if I can't get it, then what I'll probably end up doing is actually cutting another bed mount plate, probably out of 3/16 aluminum. And then I'll just have to find a way to put spacers or something like that. It's not if I can't get this one fixed, it's not the end of the road by any means at all with this printer. Alright, so let's get the build plate out of the way and get my handy little clips. Okay, so we know that these two corners have to come up. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab the corners and kind of put my thumbs against this top right here and just pull a little bit. And I kind of expect this side to go a little bit easier because it has that notch for the wires to come through. And I didn't go very much, so let's give it a shot. Let's see how we came up with. I should probably actually mark these brackets just so that I know that I'm doing the same one every time, but honestly I think they're dimensionally close enough that it's not going to matter. Guys, it may have been that simple. You can see that no corners look like they're rocking anymore. If that's all that it takes to fix that, man, I'm going to kick myself. I'm going to be happy, but I'm going to kick myself. I think what we'll do here is actually get the bed put back on, but I'm going to leave the wire just kind of dangling somehow carefully, safely, to where it's not going to get caught up in anything, and we'll attempt to level the bed again. I also think that I forgot to mention that these adjustment screws that come with the JG Aurora, this is already a pretty popular complaint. Um, they're really hard to work with. They're really small. They don't give you very good grip. But I actually stripped all these out. They're just little brass inserts in there. And I guess maybe it was me putting a lot of force on them trying to get this bed tweaked, or probably even, just working them so much that they stripped out. So I'm just using regular wing nuts. They seem to be working better. All right, so the rock seems to have gone away. That's a good sign. Let's get these clips on this here bed. And fingers crossed we can get this thing printing soon, because I definitely need a second printer. The first one's been so busy I haven't had time to do any of my fun stuff. I feel like I can do this in my sleep. I've done it so often. Whoops. Alright, I think we'll leave that one a little loose and go to second. I think we'll do kind of a rough lap around just to get things close, and then we'll do a second lap and do some fine tuning. Alright, now let's jump back to that second position and see what it looks like. There's no way. There's no way. This thing is still showing that it's bad. Let's see if we can just maybe physically tweak this thing up. Let's go to that second position and see how screwed up it is. Still pretty doggone bad. Yeah, this isn't gonna work. There's absolutely no tension on both of these. Feel really just horrible. Well, I guess that means we'll be completely disassembling this thing. And no, I'm not discounting the possibility that what it's mounted to may have some sort of a tweak in it. But I kind of feel like the way that it's acting, it's going to be the bed mount. Alright, so let's disassemble this thing for the 4 millionth time. You guys still think it's a good idea to buy a broken 3D printer? Alrighty, so it looks like gotta take those off. Alright, well, we've got it loose, and it doesn't seem too bad. The main thing, we'll get these linear bearings off, and then we'll actually bring this to the surface plate and see what it looks like. I may also go ahead and reverse engineer this and get a drawing for it, just so if I get mad at it, I can just cut another one. Yes, I am going to try to grease these while I got this thing tore apart like this. Alright, one bed mount ready to be played with. Gotta love fabrication. By the way, if you're wondering why I am rebuilding the bed mount, first of all, that means that you don't stalk me on Instagram. You need to. Second of all, it's because everything that I take off the machine and put on the surface block is straight. So the only conclusion that I can have is that the bed mount, whenever I grab it and twist it, it's extremely flimsy. So I think making it out of this 3/16 aluminum, I'll end up with pretty much the same weight, I'm hoping, but a lot more strength. Anyways, these spacers are gonna actually be for the bed springs, if I made them correctly. It's a little tight, but they'll go. We'll make it work. But they fit. There we go. And that's because I lost a little bit of height here. So that picks me up that little bit that I need. Hopefully I didn't make them too tall. They actually look like they might be. The downfall of them being too tall is that the screws won't be long enough. So, let's see what happens here. I guess let's get these in first. Now these are just made out of PLA. I probably will have to go and reprint them out of, what do I have coming in? I think I have some PTG coming in, which will be fun. I've never printed anything except PLA. I did grease my bearings, which are extremely greasy right now. My linear rods are very greasy. You can definitely tell that this entire printer, their main goal was to make something that looks great and is a kind of compact form. You know, this printer is actually not much larger than the FL Sun footprint wise, but it's, you know, twice the area of the build plate. Okay, so I may have made a mistake that is too big to just correct with a little bit of tweaking. You can see that whenever I try to drop the rod down, it will actually stop about an inch before, and I can force it, but I think that whenever I actually clamp these ends into place, it may bind up too much for it to travel freely. And I think where my mistake came from is whenever I was measuring where these holes needed to go, I actually measured the holes themselves coming off of a predetermined center line, and so I made them a little too wide, a little too far apart. What I should have actually done was use this component here and measured the center to center of these set screws to give me the center to center of my rods, and then measured the width of these screws so that of these mounting screws so that I knew where to put them at. So I guess I need to take a measurement and go back to the design stage. Much better. How did I manage to do? No, wait, that's right, that's right. Golly. Whew, I was about to lose my mind. It's so weird working upside down and I'm on this side of the machine instead of the other side, so when everything flips over it's going to be backwards, and I'll give you all a little better view. It seems about right. Another thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go grab some nuts to put on the back sides of these bolts here, because I don't like the idea that that just kind of sits there. Alright guys, you should know the drill by now. We got the machine back together and we're going to try to get it leveled off. Very loud fan. Alright, let's home it and see where and if the issues are, if there are issues and where they're at. Okay, we may have to adjust the Z limit switch. Oh my goodness. The switch sucks. Alright, let's try this again. That looks workable. In fact, it needs to come down a little bit. I don't know what to do now. We're having the exact same issue. You know, it wouldn't be bad if they had mesh bed leveling in the firmware for this machine, even if it's only manual. I don't mind going through it and doing a manual mesh bed leveling. It would have taken less time than this, but to not even have that in the firmware, that option in the firmware, just it. I think they were overconfident in themselves. Okay, so it's still in there a little bit, and I honestly think that we're going to be close enough, guys, that it's going to be okay. I'm still not happy with it, but I think we're close enough to maybe try a little test print. I think there's some stuff on the SD card. I think I'm just going to do a dry run right now and not put filament just yet. My bad. Totally forgot that there's filament run out on this machine. I know. Jeez, you don't have to. Aren't I supposed to be able to just push a button? For those of you who are curious about the filament runout detection on this machine, I hate to break it to you, but it's nothing high tech. It is literally a limit switch with a ball bearing in front of it inside of a little 3D printed mount. And basically, the filament pushes on the ball bearing and presses in the limit switch. Not very high tech. I guess it is effective, but I'm not a fan. All right, let's give this another try. Oh man, that bed does heat up pretty quickly. But anyways, I've gotten really used to printing from a host, and this is not awesome to me. Just trying to read this. Okay. Okay, let's stop that. Stop print, confirm. Okay, so our Z offset is clearly off. I tried trying to go into some settings and it's, I don't know. Let's try turning it off and turning it back on again. Okay, settings. You'd think that there would be some sort of... Okay, give me more options. No, speed. Alright, so I think what we'll do here is that now that we've got the printer sort of working, I'm going to actually move it into my office, and it's just easier there for me to hook onto it. And we're going to go into this firmware, and we're going to try to do some stuff. Definitely, I feel like if I can get baby stepping in at this point, I'll be pretty good. But if I can't, if I can't get baby stepping going, then I don't know what I'll be able to do. I also don't know how baby stepping is going to work on a touchscreen. I've never messed with the touchscreen before. Alright, so we're going to try a new tactic here. I'm going to completely get rid of these bed springs, because I think that, everything else seems straight. So to me, the only thing that could be happening is that whenever you're tweaking the bed, trying to get it level, the littlest bit of force on this flimsy little bed being so big and the screws all the way to the corners is what's making it tweak. So my theory is, if I get rid of these springs and just leave the screw coming through here, I printed these, which if I can get it to focus, are basically just little M3 nuts with a, whoops. So I printed these, and they're basically just M3 nuts embedded into a little washer thumb wheel type insert that I printed. And I'm gonna actually put on each side of the bed mount plate, I'm gonna have one of these nuts and then a wing nut on the other side, and no springs. So the theory is that I'm not gonna really have any force pushing upwards trying to resist any movement of the bed. It's gonna be straight, flat, and level, and just locked into place. Now that does kind of give me a little bit of a disadvantage because I won't have the spring compression if I crash my Z. I don't really know what's going to happen if I do that with it being very rigid, but a level bed to me takes priority over that. So let's raise this Z. We're going to raise it a good bit. All right, and let's go ahead and get this bed pulled off. All right, another thing I'm going to do is actually drill these holes out a little bit. Actually, a little bit more than this. And I'm going to do that just to make sure that the screw isn't binding inside of the hole at all. That could be causing an issue if it is. All right, so just to kind of confirm that the bed is actually straight right now, we've got a little bit of a little tiny bit of a bow, not much. I'm just going to try the traditional bed level first. I did update the firmware, and I just put the 1.1.8 firmware in there. That was kind of ready to go from the JG Aurora Unofficial Wiki. So there's no video on that. I'm sorry, but if you want to know more about that, I'll put some links in the description for you to actually go and see that. Okay, so it looks like this needs to come up so we can actually pick it up with these nuts on the top side. Alright, so I think I at least got it close enough to where I can do manual mesh bed leveling and hopefully use the printer. With the firmware upgrade, it is a little bit weird. Leveling is the traditional level on the menu, so you just have to go to more, and then they have a mesh option. And it's gonna do its home and all that stuff, and then you get to play with it. Alright, I'm not sure if I actually got audio and recorded what I managed to record. My camera battery died, and somehow my mic got turned off. But at this point, I've completed the mesh bed leveling, and I tried to do a test print, and I don't know where it ended up at, but I got further than I ever got before with it. So I was having some adhesion problems, and the Z offset was adjusted a little too high. So I went in and I adjusted the limit switch. Normally what I'll do for these hard limit switches like this is I'll go in and I'd rather adjust the limit switch than the firmware offset, just because I don't like the idea of if it's trying to push down on that fixed point, it can, mess stuff up. Put that screw there. So I also applied a little bit of glue stick to the bed. I know you're not supposed to need glue stick on these beds, but until I really get it printing and get to where I feel like experimenting, I'm going to use glue stick. So let's try this again. I really, really like on this custom firmware that you can go into your options menu and go into more, and your baby step plus minus is right here. On the FL Sun, you actually have to wait until it actually starts printing. The display will say printing, and double click the encoder and then work it. I do like the encoder a little bit better than the touch screen for actually adjusting it. I think that's mostly just me being used to it, but I do like that it's ready to go right here no matter what. We have a little bit of peel back here, but it looks like it's doing okay. Let's let it print. Don't touch anything. So I forgot to put the spool back in place. I'm actually holding the microphone in my hand right now to talk, and it was jamming up. So it looks like it will still be okay, hopefully. And if it fails later on, we'll just have to see if it's my fault or the machine's fault. I'm gonna leave the mic right here, and hopefully it'll pick up the noise of the machine so you can hear how loud it is. All right, I'm not sure what it is. I think that it's just some sort of a little calibration print. I thought that a lot of them came with a little cat that was about like this tall or something. Apparently, I don't rate that. Let's see how easy it comes off this bed with the... Whoops, not bad. Print quality looks okay. Um, it's also kind of hard to tell in white. Oh, it breaks off that raft really well. So apparently their raft settings are on point. That first layer looks okay. It's hard to tell though really where your print quality is on this thing. I don't see any stringing. I do see a little bit of oozing on there, but all in all, not too bad. I'm gonna try to print something. I'm gonna have to change my filament because that roll is pretty low. And we'll try to do a long-term print and see how it does. I don't think I'm gonna make y'all guys watch that though. Why don't you go ahead and just follow me on Instagram? I'm gonna put up the success failure on there. I'm gonna consider this project done for now. We will go in later and we'll play with things and we'll add. I think we'll add a sensor to it. We're not done with this printer by any means, but it's working. So I'm not gonna touch it for a little while. I'm gonna let it earn its keep. But for now, this one is done and it's gonna start doing its stuff. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and stay tuned. There will be more on this printer, and there'll be more stuff just in general. I know I've got a weed eater that needs new fuel lines. That's a pretty interesting thing that a lot of people don't know, so maybe I'll do that. Anyways, see y'all later.